Yeah, this is the one we just done. As at this stage, as you can see, the pollen just starting to ripen around it. If we go over here, the stage of one I've done 3-4 days ago, and you can see it's further advanced. And here is one was done a week or fortnight ago. It is almost ready to pick. Now what I mean by that, because we have heavy dew down here, that in there, if you squeeze it, you can see the moisture is in the actual pod. Now to stop that from happening and rotting the seeds, I cut these off down here just like you would have cutting a flower to put in a vase. They're put in a bucket of half full of water and put in the hothouse to finish off. And what they actually do, they suck up the water, and they, because it's dry in there and it's got warmth, they just mature off. And I break open the pods and lay them on paper when they're dried, when they get a strawy sort of colour. So what I'm going to do here is, this is, we're in the cactus fernery now. Once again, they're all cactus, but very few bees around, so I'm going to do a bit by hand. So I've taken this off a bush stack there, a well-known one, and I'm going to do it by hand. Once again, you pull these out so they don't get in the road, and I'll come over here and I pull these out. I don't have to pull these out, but I like to pull it out because this is going to be the seed parent. Once again, no petals left on the bush, they're all shaken off. Now what I'm going to do is join that one to that one. The outer row or two of that one is ripe. This one's more advanced, that's nearly all ripe. So what I'm going to do is just brush the two together like that. Take that away. Now I'm going to take this away. If I want to go ahead with the same pollen in there, I will put that in a bucket in the shed and bring it out tomorrow and do the same thing for 2 or 3 days. This, if you look closely in the middle, you'll see it hasn't flowered. It's still coming out. That'll take about 2 days for it to completely be out as far as this one. So that, because this one's nearly finished, and I don't mind a mix, I might get another cactus tomorrow and on the next day and finish that off. I'm not going to bother covering it because there's not much bees around to affect it, to worry about. I say they normally do cover them if there's a lot of bees around, and I want a particular one over the other, but the variation I find is good as any. If you put one particular one with the other one, chances are the whole pod you're not going to get a thing out of it, but having a variation, the chances are that you're going to get something. They've gone to the goats. What are you going to be there?
He's trying to get to the pollen, but he's a bit early on that one.
This is a one I've just taken petals out of to let the bees at the pollen and as it's ripening. I do some by hand, but I also use the bees. This fernery here is got all ball dahlias in it, and so I also rely on, there's some bees around, there's not that many, for a different mix. I find if I put one with the other, and I'll finish up with nothing, but I find if I get variation from the bees as well, I'll get a better mix, and I can get something out of it. Down here I have, before I started that one, there's the pollen, and I simply pluck the petals out to let the bees, and also I can pollinate it myself. If I have mixed ones, and I'm a particular one or the other, I would cover that with a tied up piece of stocking so the bees can't get to it, and I'll pick a mate to it, and then put them together and put it back in the actual shed, and that's what I call hand mating or joining that, instead of the bees. So I do both sides of it. Another reason I pull these petals out is that the petals don't fall into the bushes and cause diseases in the bush. They're all here on the floor, on the ground, away from the bush, so that the bushes themselves got very few petals in the actual in the joins and in between the laterals. We were selecting seed pods to be cut. We have this one here, which is not ready. It hasn't closed over, and you still see the lower stale pollen. It's probably been pollinated, but it's not ready to go. It's too young. Down here we have one that's black. It's on the end, and it's solid. That's ready to cut. So we'll take that one off. Down there, just go into the bucket of water. We take that off because I'll show you with this one here the reason why. With the dew at night, the amount of water that's in there, that will rot your seeds before they form properly. And this one here has a little bit, see, and the same thing. The other reason too is that, as you can see here, parrots have had a go at it already to try and get the seed out. They know when the seeds are getting near ripe, so they try and beat me to it, and I try and beat them. So that is about the right stage that I take it off and put it in the bucket in the hothouse. That one's a fraction too wet. The pollen's not quite right on the end. So is that one. Here we have several pods. Once again, this one here, as you can see, is all it's hard, solid, and it's mature enough for me to take. So I take that one off there. There's another one. I have one here. Once again, it's not mature enough to take. And you can see the juice water come out of that. That will rot your seed. Over here we have another one that's solid. Right, so that's the difference between when you can take them, when you can't take them. You can't take them like that, but you try and take them like that when they close out. Right, these were the 4 we've just taken off, and as you can see there's pods along there. I see you segregate them a little bit to what's what, and so I'll put them in here because this is cactus that I cut them from, and that's a cactus bucket of water, and you can see where the water is in there. Right, now here's a pod that has been in there for a while and it's about ready to go. There's the husk part, which we'll leave there, and here are the seeds. See the seeds there? And that's how damp the husk is. Now if you look down that way further, you'll see one I broke open about 3 or 4 days ago, and you'll see how it's dried, and there are the seeds that come out of it. So what I do is I break this open like so, as like that, and you can see the nice seeds that I've got. They're nice plump seeds, and they haven't no rot in them whatsoever. They'll mature that little bit what I want, and of course I'll take the husk off them and I'm left with the seeds. These seeds, when I do this, are not left in the open. I have these things make an excellent cover, because where you get seeds you get mice and rats, and they just love your seeds along with the parrots outside. So I just simply put that over the top like that to protect the seed and let them so they dry out.
Over the winter, Alf, what do you store them in?
They're stored in any container like that. As you can see, it's got holes in the top of it to let the air through, and they're stored in there. And of course they're stored here not in the hothouse, but it doesn't get not very hot. It's just warm. They're put in a box like that. The reason they're in that box, because if you get a frost outside and you get water drips off the roof, they can drip into the holes at the top. So by putting them in the box, no water can get to them.